Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk about, where's my slides?
Like the button.
Mark.
Did you put them in?
Come on. There we are. There's the three of us. And what do we call it? The rose between two thorns. So, over there. So we're going to be talking about some business networking. So how many people actually network? Let me see. Raise your hands.
Oh, there needs to be more.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's it? You guys need to do some more professional networking. So, here's the slide here. So what professional networking is you need to be able to get out there and create relationships. That's what networking. All right, so building relationships is really all networking really is. You're not out there selling, it's creating relationships. The sale will come later. So I'm going to actually defer to Darwin right here. So Darwin's going to get us started.
All right. So the first thing when you're doing networking events is you got to understand a couple of things. You walk into these events, you are there for the same reason that everybody else is there. So I love what Brian Hodo talked about this morning about having the right identity, making sure that you know why you're there. Why are you there? The reason you're there is to meet people and build relationships. Okay? I know I felt the same way. This is a funny story. I felt the same way about professional networking. We had about an hour and 15 minutes before Dawn was flying out of Fort Myers, Florida home. We walked in the house. Toby was already frazzled because we ran her ragged all weekend, and she was like, "What are you guys doing?" I said, "Well, I'm getting ready to take him to the airport." He says, no, you're not. He goes, "Look here, I just found a networking event at the Chamber of Commerce. How far is downtown Fort Myers?" I said, "It's about 20 minutes. He goes, "Get a suit jacket on." I didn't even have one that really fit me. He says, "Get a suit jacket on, we're going." So we go to this networking event. We are there for 20 minutes. He walks in, I stick with him, right? I walk in, and all of a sudden, next thing I know, he's gone. He's on the other side of the room, and I'm just like networking with everybody. And they're getting their cards, building a relationship with it. Out of that, I came out of there with one person that I brought into the business, okay? And then another guy that we've actually done refer business back and forth. Now that guy wasn't fit for the business, wasn't right for it, but we still refer business because guess what? Even though he wasn't right for it, he probably knows somebody who is. So when you go there and you're doing these networking events, just because this person may not fit what we're looking for, what you are looking for, you have to make sure that you build relationships with them because they know the people that you're looking for, right? Here's the other thing, time stealers. It's very important to have a clear identity about what you are there for. Don't get caught up in these long conversations about the history of this individual, right? Don't lose the vision why you're there. You're there to network with as many people as you can within a allotted time that they give you, right? And just, make sure that you're getting the information. Here's the deal. This is the way I work it. When I go to a networking event, I'm looking for a couple of key people that I can set up an appointment at a later time with, have coffee with. At that appointment, I am very intentional about getting them to tell me about themselves first. Like, even if they ask me a question, I'll kind of like not even hear it. I'll just say, tell me about what you do. And then they start talking. And then the key is, you got to think through that about somebody that you know that you can refer them to their business. Because once you do that, then you're going to start to build that trust, which Maleva's going to talk about in a few minutes. But making sure that you do, as many as you can, get the cards. And I'll tell you what, time changes, right? You build that relationship. It might not be right now, but sooner or later, it's going to be right for them. All right?
Yeah, so let's talk about building trust. There are a lot of different types of events that you can walk into. So yes, there's the business card exchanges, Chamber of Commerces, but there's also industry-specific networking events. So women, you can look for women in business networking events. I happen to chair one, and that's really where my professional networking took off. But my introduction was very much similar to Darwin's in that I was down in the New Hope area. I was staying with Don and Lisa, and Don's like, hey, there's a networking event, why don't you tag along with me? And I was like, I don't have business cards. And he's like, okay, here's Lisa's. I'm like, okay. So we go to this networking event, and he introduces me to the first person. I turn around, he's clear across the room. And so I'm like, all right, here we go. And so I just introduced myself to this gentleman. And one of the most important things you want to know is who you are and what you do. And that's step one, attitude and knowledge of our basic 5, right? Is who are you and what do you do? And so I'm going to give you a very simple approach that I use when people ask me what it is that I'm doing, because they're either going to ask you in a one-on-one environment in these type of exchanges, or you might have a sit-down luncheon where you actually stand up and give a 30-second introduction into you and who you are and what you do. So for me, I like to stand up and say, my name is Malayva Everson-Lengel. My background is as a freelance makeup artist in the film and television industry, but what I'm really passionate about is helping women in business put their best face forward. Simple. So steal it. If that works for you, totally use it. If I expand upon that a little bit, because sometimes you have a little bit more time, I'll tell people I love helping women in business put their best face forward. I understand that the beauty counters are really confusing, so my goal is to help you figure out a beauty solution that really fits your needs within your time frame. One of my favorite services is I create custom therapy foundations from scratch. So feel free to have a couple. If I'm dealing with a bunch of maybe potential industry professionals in the room, or a lot of small business owners, I might say, I help small business owners put other revenue streams into their business to help them serve their clients better. So just figure out something that feels good to you and know it, because that's how you're going to introduce yourself. But if professional networking still sounds like a little scary to you, that's totally okay. First off, let's conquer our fears. But secondly, do maybe a soft serve introduction. What kind of hobbies do you have? Go on meetup.com and see what other kind of groups are happening around that particular interest that you have, and do some networking that way. And like Darwin said, your whole goal is to give value to others. So see who you might have in your pocket, in your sphere of influence, that you might be able to introduce them to. We have a partner sitting in the audience tonight that is a nurse practitioner, and one of the most amazing things I was able to do for her is reach into my Market America family and introduce her to some nurse practitioners that we all have access to. And it didn't have to be about Market America, it was about introducing like minds to see what they might be able to do together. So you all have an amazing sphere of influence here that you have at your disposal to be able to introduce people to just help them move the needle forward in their life and their business. That's what professional networking is about, because people are going to do business with people they know, like, and trust. So your goal is to show up authentically and have people know, like, and trust you in an in-person environment. So the last 2 things that I want to say before I pass it along to Jack is I've had 2 really special partnerships because of professional networking. One is I was able to be on the co-chair of Berks Women in Motion, which is a women's-based networking event in my area. And one of the pillars of that community is we love helping serve nonprofits who are women-serving or women-owned. And one of those nonprofits I was introduced to was Breast Cancer Support Services of Berks County. And because of that introduction, I've now been able to create a clean beauty, it's called the Face Up to Safe Beauty curriculum. And they were able to become one of our Market America nonprofits. So now all of the proceeds, one of the special things about our nonprofit program is that all of the proceeds that happen from all of the workshops we do, from all of the product purchases, 100% of those proceeds go towards that nonprofit in royalties. It helps build up an income stream for them to be able to serve more women. I also lead up their Face Up to Safe Beauty campaign, but also their big fashion show every single year, where I've been able to bring beauty professionals from our industry and from our Market America family to serve these women in the fashion show. So that was like one of the most amazing experiences that I have today that I've never had it not been for professional networking. The most recent, as of last week, became a new partner. I've known her for about 7 years in the professional networking space. She was involved in other network marketing companies before, and her father had cancer, and she was able to help him through becoming certified in nutritional microscopy, so she can look at your blood under a microscope and see kind of what you're deficient in. And so I never really touched products or the business with her. She was a custom blend customer of mine, but after I had my son a few years ago, flash forward to now, I was like, I'm really ready to relaunch in this business. So Don came up and did a home kickoff for me. So I had an HBP. I've been in this business for 15 years. So it is not too late or not too long for you to have a relaunch or a kickoff and have yourself a home business kickoff. But I invited her using the valuation approach because I knew she might know some people I could serve. She went from that meeting saying, I will never touch a networking company again. But she saw the value of our businesses and said, you know what, I know a lot of people in this space that are unhappy, I would love to refer them to you. Brought her to Dr. Deidre's Blueprint to Success Story. She was like, these products are incredible. I followed up with her after that event and she said, you know, it kills me not having an ongoing income. I want to look at the business because I want to offer these products to my clients. She's now a business partner.
I love what Maleva was saying, because we're talking about business networking, professional networking, but I love the fact that that doesn't mean that you can't go out and just do, I guess, what we'll call personal networking, and just going out and finding meetup groups and, you know, you love dogs, so find a dog walking group, and you're just going to create those relationships. It may turn into business, it may not, but it's all about creating those relationships and developing that line of communication where they may lead to somebody, because if you're listening to what they're saying, then you're going to be able to create some sort of revenue from that, either from a customer or from as a business owner. There we go. So we had a bunch of slides, but obviously we work better just kind of free floating. Oh, this one, I love this slide. So no one is you, and that is your superpower. So just don't be afraid to just be yourself. Authenticity, and you hear that all the time, and Don talks about this consistently. Authenticity is what's going to sell. Do not try to be something that you're not. And Darwin talks about that. So going to a networking event, and that's kind of what I do. I'm always the first one to ask the question, what do you do? Because I do everything. I have the capacity to do everything. So for me, I am a business consultant and I integrate products and services into other businesses, whether that's cosmetic and skincare. Now, obviously I don't do that personally, but somebody on my team does. Web centers, debt shredder, health and nutrition. So I can provide a product or service into almost any type of business, but I'm asking the question first. And based on their answer as to what they do, I'm now formulating what my response is going to be. My background's actually in print services, so I have what I call a traditional marketing background. So I can also integrate that as well. If none of our products and services, they have a website already, and they're not in an industry that kind of ties in, I can then go to my background. So just be yourself, be authentic. Strength is in business connections. And again, we already talked about that. Just create those connections, and it's not about selling to the person that you're talking to. It's about who that they know and creating those connections and creating value. Because it's for them to refer business to me. I've got people that reach out to me because I know somebody that can help one of their clients or one of their business partners. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily market America, it's just creating that connection. Somebody comes to me and says, hey, I'm looking to get my kitchen redone. I'm calling Jimmy Adams because that's what he does. He's in construction, that's what he does. It has nothing to do with this business, but creating those relationships. It's extremely important. You're becoming a person of value. It's not about the money. So that's kind of about raising the profile, developing those long-lasting relationships, personal relationships. So this is part of the network. This is kind of what we do. All up and down, and again, I'm in the Bucks County area, but I travel to Cherry Hill, traveling in North Jersey. We're going out as far as like Harrisburg. Like anything within 2 hours is a networking event for me. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Well, even Ocean City. My wife's here in the audience, so we love coming down to Ocean City. Like it's a 3-hour road trip for me. That's a day trip. I'll come down to Ocean City for a networking event.
There you
the value of what I'm going to get out of that is exponential because of the relationships that we're going to be constantly creating. So one of the things that I've actually done, and we have a couple of partners in this, and actually the three of us are kind of work together, is we've developed a business networking platform, and it's called the BizConnect. And what we do with that platform, and I encourage everybody to reach out to us so that we can actually help you. And Darwin talked about this. When you go to a networking event, your primary goal is to collect as many names as possible. It's not to sell. You're going to create a relationship, grab as many cards as you can. So you can see the upper right there, like how many people are there? How much time? A networking event's typically 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. How many conversations do you think you can have within a 2 or 3 hour period and actually gain usable information? 5, 6, maybe. There's 40 people at that event. So we now have 35 people that we didn't get to meet. So what we've done is we want to be able to give you everybody's name. And how we do that is we have you facilitate your own networking event. So the facilitator gets everybody's information, right? Even the people that don't show up, because we have them pre-registered. So even the ones that don't show up, you have their contact information. You're going to be able to reach out to them and say, oh, we missed you at the event, and we'd love to, let's get together. Because you're the facilitator, they're going to want to talk to you. Everybody wants to talk to the person that's in charge, right? So
You also might be sitting out there and thinking like, oh, okay, well, there isn't really much networking around me. You can start, like Jack's saying, but you can start around a hobby or a specific interest. For me, this fall, I'm starting a business networking group for moms who own businesses. Because I'm part of mom groups on Facebook, and so many women have side businesses or making some extra money or making something to help their husbands out. And we need a platform to be able all to come together. So feel free that you can host something, a meetup, or through the platform that Jack's talking about, where you can host something around a specific interest as a great way to meet a ton of people and build those relationships.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, you can tell how we centered this around is about commonality. Again, because people are very uncomfortable networking. So these specific groups were set up by, do you belong to an alumni association? Do you belong to a membership, whether it's a gym or a church or whatever type of organization it is. Those organizations are specifically designed for whatever that membership is, but everybody that belongs there is probably either in business or owns a business or something like that, but that's not the intent of the organization. But we will come in and host business networking events at those organizations for you so that you can then gain all that access from the business. And I think that's all of our time now.
So action point for this weekend, please go to Google, go to meetup.com, look for a networking event in your area, and please attend one this month to start your process of professional networking. Yes, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Great job. Give a round of applause. Jack, Belinda, and Darwin. Nice job, guys. Thank you very much. You know, any good segment ends with a call to action, as Belinda said. Get on Google, find a networking event. You can be a flower on the wall, a fly on the wall. You can just go kind of check it out in a distance and get your feet wet. It's a great way to start doing that. You know, I will tell you that seldom does financial success come before personal development. Right? You've got to be a better version of you before you're going to be able to reap those benefits. Right? You have to sow before you reap. So to talk to you now about personal development, how to use your time wisely, whether that's through books. I'll tell you, in today's world, you can be literally even at work, driving, whatever you're doing, and listening to podcasts, right? And so that can be, just do that. I mean, I'm a big music lover. You know, I'm very vested in the music industry, but I still try to make sure I carve out time for personal development, not just listening to music. Even though it's great, you got to make time to make yourself better. To talk to you about how to best utilize that, we have a person who's our UBP coordinator for the Baltimore area. Does a great job in service to other people. Please welcome to the stage, Tim Hampton. Timmy!